Classroom management, you just put the apples up, the iPad is closed, good to go.
It's helpful to establish clear signals with your students at the beginning of the year and have them help you establish those so that they have buy-in throughout the year as you use those signals in the classroom.
So the issue that we found with our SPED kiddos that had iPads was just all the cords and iPads, students were getting mixed up, losing them, and so it was really key for us to have all the students label their iPads and especially the chargers, because otherwise we had 20 chargers in our room and we didn't know whose was whose, and it just kind of turned into a mess. So as soon as you get that stuff, put a name on everything, and have a place for it that's secure in the classroom, so for organization.
Apples up.
Anything classroom management is an important part of the iPads. There's a time and place, and I think if you just let the kids always have the iPads up, then you're gonna have some issues with that. So some protocols that you establish in class are important, like we say apples up, and that means the kids put their iPads down, so the apple's up. And just establishing like this is a time to use the iPad and this is not a time to use the iPad.
So my favorite app this year has been DocScan. It's real easy. You can get it on your phone and on your iPad, and it just allows you to turn anything that you would normally take a picture of directly into a PDF. So like for instance, I take pictures of my calendar that I put on the board, and I also have some big diagrams and stuff, and I just took a picture of it and then emailed it to myself as a PDF and was able to post it directly to my website. And then also, of course, students could load it into Notability and annotate on that if they wanted to.
So one of the things that has been really helpful for me this year and for new students is to just have this information on the wall so you're not repeating this again and again, and new students who have to sign in to turn it in or want to access your Google Drive, this is readily available. And so this has been a huge time saver, and I think even next year I will print it up and give the students a hard copy of this so they can refer to it as needed.
One simple thing I've learned with the iPads is when you're doing instruction, telling the kids to have lights out, which means eyes are on you so you can show them what you want to do, and making sure that they all do that, so that all their iPads are off and they actually are looking at you.
My best tip is just to lecture from the back of the room so you can always see their screens.
Use QR codes to show important stuff in your room.
It's helpful to have established table captains who know that their job is to carry the iPads to and from the tables in the place where you store them.
So if you suspect an unsanctioned iPad experience and you walk up and the student makes whatever they're doing return back to their home screen, if you double click the button, it'll always bring up the last item that they were showing. Have a nice day.
So it really helps to have bins, to have your students have a place to put their iPads when they're doing something at their desk, like having a snack or there's something you don't need the iPad on their desk, so they have a safe place to put it.
Hey, don't be discouraged just because the first app you tried didn't work. Keep trying it. Don't forget to ask the students about apps that they've heard about too. There's a lot of things out there.
The majority of the problems that I run into are solved by doing our Wi-Fi reset process, which I've outlined here for the students. And this not only clears up Wi-Fi issues, but some of those little issues with apps and connectivity that maybe we don't know are Wi-Fi. It's always good to get a clean reset. Doesn't take very long, and then you're starting fresh. And I've found that 9 times out of 10, that fixes my problems.
Keep those apps up to date in the App Store, and keep your iPads charged up.
I advise not having the passcodes turned on and also not having iMessage.
So if a kid cannot connect to the internet, they need to make sure that they are connected to the BLS Wi-Fi before raising their hand.
When connecting to the VPN, don't mess with the VPN settings.
In Google Docs, the best thing I found to do is have my students name their individual documents in a very specific way so that it all sorts for you. For example, if you were in third period, I tell my kids they have to start with the number 3, then their last name, and then whatever the assignment is. That way when I push sort in Google Docs, it puts everything in order by period and then also alphabetizes it by their last name.
If your iPad crashes or freezes in the middle of something, the first thing I do is power it down completely by holding down the power button until you get the swiping option to turn it off. Once it's been off for a few seconds, turn it back on, and hopefully that solved your problem.
So the motto is have a plan. If you send your iPads home with your students over the weekend, or you keep them at school, plan on having some of those iPads not charged for Monday morning. So you need to have a plan on what you're going to do with those students that don't have charged iPads.
Miss Speed would say to carry the iPad with 2 hands.
Well, so we were turning our work in after we finished it to Edmodo, but not everything turned into Edmodo, and that had been my friend, and I had been reluctant to go to Google Drive and use that. So when I took that plunge and organized work for boys and girls to turn into Google Drive, that made our life much simpler. Be sure to do that at the beginning of the year. That's what I'll be doing with my class next year.
One good tip to get your class set up on Air Server is to use your phone extension. So you can share that 4-digit number with your students and get them all ready so they can share their work to the class on the projector whenever they're ready.
Who forget their iPads, don't have it charged. Mrs. Tompkins, do you have an extra charger, any of that, make sure that you have at least 5 paper copies for every class if you want to make sure they're on task with you all period long.
Have a class list set somewhere where it's accessible for you or your substitute that has the student's name and SSID number on it so that you can access their iPad or troubleshoot when you need to.
Make sure the whole class is on BLS Wi-Fi.
When students are doing projects or anything that, or even when I'm grading papers, anything that involves circling rubrics, putting points on a rubric, I copy and paste my rubric over and over again into Word and then save it as a PDF. And PDF can be uploaded into what's called Notability, the app Notability. And so I just go through as they're presenting or as I'm reading their essays, and I score it as I go, and they're all in one file, all in one class, all together forever. And then you can export it to your email or Google Drive, or I have Dropbox, and you can print it, and there's a selection in the printing options that you can have like 4 on a sheet. So you can save paper that way. Instead of having 150 of these, you can have 1, 2, 3, 4 with all your notes already on them. Print, hand them out, the end. I love it.
So my tip for an unprepared student, they can still do the work. They can copy from the board, the screen, from another partner. They still do the work, and they can snapshot it and submit it through Edmodo and through a snapshot.
Keep the students engaged in an instructional activity on the iPad, and they can't be engaged in non-instructional activities.
Taking notes on your iPad does not look like this.
One thing that I do like a lot about having the access to the iPads is the issue of equity, where now all the students have access to a homework assignment or whatever it is. There's one minor thing that I would consider, which would be not every kid at home can get online, so it would be lovely if we could say every kid can access my homework assignment through the page. However, you might need to factor in some time at school for that.
Here at Juniper School, one of the best things we did is we put together a team of teachers, and they took the time to develop a plan of expectations. So make sure that you have clear expectations that are followed school-wide, just like you would with the PBIS model. It'll save you time and help the students know that no matter where they are in the library, in the classroom, or in another location, the citizenship rules are the same.
So you have to walk around and use your room as if you're at a huge cocktail party. I would love actually mirrors on the back wall of the classroom so I could see what they're doing. But you have to move around. And once they know you move around and catch them when they're not being perfect angels, you will not have as many issues.
The iPad can cause a lot of distractions, that's true, but it's no different than the kids who used to pass notes in class. They're just now playing Flappy Bird a whole lot. So shut them down, beat their score.
Shut them down!
So I'd be really careful about what you post on your website if you have one. Just keep in mind that even if you have the right to distribute it to your students with copyright law, that you don't have the right to distribute it to the whole world. So I had to password protect my website in order to be able to distribute some items to my students.
How you doing?